episode 4, Super Mart. But this episode should have been titled Thelma and Louise. And it's your boy Icon with some DC TV, and we got the entire backstory of Mother Mayhem. So it turns out she was just a regular nobody who couldn't land a job, and she was a pushover, and men treated her like dirt. She bumps into a representative from a cult. He gives her the card that has the words, because this entire season is about the words. Like, this entire season is about Rachel being geared up to say 3 words. And she ends up joining the cult. And then come to find out that the ruler of the cult, the evil of all eyes survey, which we find out later is Trigon, this is the moment where he was searching for his bride, because the prophecy said that the human female that bears his child, would be the portal and the gate that opens, like his world to the, to the earthly plane. But the prophecy said that it was supposed to be a girl. He's supposed to have a girl that leads him, like through the portal. So this particular woman, she was trying desperately to be the chosen one in the cult, to be the bearer of Trigon's child. She meets another woman, Louise, and the two of them become best friends, and then they're like Laverne and Shirley, and like they do everything together. And there was the moment where they were all in the cult, like there was a bunch of women in the cult, and the guy who was like leading the cult, he dug like a gigantic hole into the ground, and it was time to do a trust fall exercise where we were supposed to fall into the hole and see if we had the strength to pull ourselves out. So Thelma and Louise, they both go in the hole together, and when they both go in the hole together, they both tried to help pull themselves out of the hole. Now the problem is, when they almost got to the top of the hole, now mind you, they're the bestest of friends, but they're also fighting to see who gets to become the bride of Trigon. So as they were climbing out of the hole and trying to prove their worth, they were just like, oh, we'll be welcomed as heroes in open arms, but only one of us can become his bride. And then Louise, she's sitting there, she's just like, oh, I can't climb, it's too much, I'm hurt, I can't do it. And then Thelma was like, no, you can make it, just keep going. And then she's like, you're right, I can keep going, but unfortunately only one of us can be his bride. And then she done kicked this broad off the ladder, pushed her right back down in the well. And I was like, see, that's some scandalous ass shit. So obviously, because Thelma got knocked back into the well by Louise ended up climbing out, and then she became what she thought would be the chosen one to bear the child of Trigon. However, Thelma, being as strong and as stubborn as she was, and the fact that her life had no meaning at that point, and she desperately wanted to be the bearer, of Trigon's child, she pulled herself out of the well for a second time. And when she pulled herself out of the well for a second time, she went and rolled up on Louise, and then she was like, and that's the thing, because like Louise was basically in a room that had flowers and everything. They put a nice dress on her. They did her hair and her makeup despite having all the scars and bruises all over her face. And they were just like, oh, because she thought that because she climbed out of the well, because she made it, she would be the chosen one to bear the child of Trigon. But then Thelma kicked in the door, and I thought she was going to beat her ass. She was like, bitch, you tried to knock me down the well. But instead, because the two of them are best friends, she was just like, look, you weren't in your you weren't in your right mind. It is what it is. I understand what you did. She took her hand and she was like, yo, I'm still with you. Thelma and Louise for life. Saying like we're doing this together. So after that, the Trigon representative, he came back into the room, and he had a cup. I don't know if it was magical elixir. I don't know if it was wine, blood, whatever the case may be. But he came back with a chalice cup, and then we assumed at that point that Louise was going to be the one who was just like, oh, you came out of the well first, congratulations, you're the victor. Instead, he gave the chalice to Thelma, because he was like, girl, you done pulled yourself out the well twice, and you were betrayed by your best friend, and you forgave her for her betrayal. He's like, Trigon wants to thank you and offer you his gratitude and his wishes. So I was like, I got you, bitch, because like that bullshit that Louise pulled backfired, because her knocking Thelma into the well and making her climb out for a second time made her look stronger in the eyes of Trigon, so now she feels stupid. But again, just like with Thelma, she forgave her, and the two of them remained the bestest of friends. So Thelma ends up getting knocked up by Trigon. She ends up having Trigon's baby, and again, the child was supposed to serve as the portal, as the key, for Trigon to make his way onto the earthly plane. But alas, they say thee nay, because the prophecy says that it's supposed to be a girl that provides the portal and the bridge. And when Thelma gave birth to Trigon's child, it ended up being a boy. and they took the boy away, and then they took Thelma and locked her in the basement because they locked her in an asylum because she was still trying to say that despite the fact that she had a boy, she was like, my son can still fulfill the prophecy. He could still be the chosen one. But they was like, nah, and because she wouldn't let go, because even like, this other guy, he was like, renounce this blasphemy, woman, about your son being the chosen one. And she was like, my son is the chosen. You'll all see, whatever. But here's the kicker. And that was basically like how the whole backstory thing ended. But here's the kicker, because the asylum that they locked her in was the same asylum that Rachel's mom was locked in, that Corey and them was locked in, that the Titans burned down in season 1. And we didn't even know that, Mother Mayhem and them, that they were even in there. When the place caught on fire, when the Titans burned the building, I believe it was Corey that torched it. When they burned the building, it showed the scene where Louise came and busted Thelma out of her prison, and then they were just like, oh, somebody lit the building on fire. Then the two of them ran out, and then they escaped. Where she got the staff and the power to become Mother Mayhem, I have no idea. I guess that's going to be an episode for later, but that's how the two of them escaped and got put on the path that we see them on now in the season. So back to the Titans. So the Titans, they have Brother Blood, Sebastian in their clutches, and they're having a conversation. And then Rachel was talking to him, and then she was just like, oh, well, actually Sebastian said to Rachel, he was like, why did you pull me from the police station? And then Rachel was like, well, we saved your life. And then he was like, did you really? Because his whole thing is he's operating under the thing of, just because I was like in danger, just because I was locked up doesn't mean I was in trouble. The same thing with like, if you go back to the Incredibles, when Mr. Incredible saved that guy from committing suicide, and then the guy who he saved sued him the next day, and then Mr. Incredible was like, how could you sue me? I saved your life. And then he was like, no, you prevented my death. And then he sued him. Because Sebastian's whole thing was like, what if I wanted to obtain the power, and what if I wanted to become all, like all powerful, whatever. But they were just like, no, we saved you, shut up. So then Rachel, after talking with him, because Sebastian let her know that he was supposed to say the words Azriath. And then we got Rachel to say Metreon, and she said it very she said it very weirdly, but they didn't say Synthos. And then that's when Rachel went to go talk to Corey and Dick. And then she was like, look, homeboy, like, he knows what's going on. And then I can, she said that we got to go back to the asylum. And they was just like, girl, the asylum was burnt down. And they were just like, oh, but is it really? And then they decided, like, Dick was just like, okay, let's go down and investigate. Because Rachel's his homie. And if Rachel says we need to investigate the asylum, we're going to investigate the asylum. So the Titans take the big bus down to the asylum. And when they take the bus down to the asylum, we find out that after it was burnt down, like burnt to a crisp, they ended up turning the asylum into a supermarket. A supermarket. And that was the title of the episode, and why I don't know. It was almost like they didn't have a title for the episode, and they were just like, fuck it. They just say Super Mart. So the Titans, they go into the building, and then we get a shot of, present day Mother Mayhem and the other girl, Thelma and Louise, and them. We get a shot of them modern day because, like I said, she has the staff now. They have the power. She's her best friend and her, I guess her number one, her sidekick, her servant, whatever. The two of them are just like, they're sitting there watching the Titans. And then, Louise was just like, oh, why would you allow them access into the secret chamber? Because the asylum still exists under the supermarket. And the Titans found the hidden room where they can go into. So they go into the asylum, but Mother Mayhem actually allowed them to do it. It was part of her plan. So the Titans get into the asylum. They find old footage, old tapes. They start playing the old tapes. It was tapes of the conversation that Mother Mayhem was having after her child got snatched up when she was locked up in the asylum. And then that's when the Titans find out I don't know if she was the first, but for the sake of this, we'll just say she was the first. She was the first woman to bear the child of Trigon. And when they said that, Dick looked at Rachel and said, wow, I guess you have a sister. And then Tim was like, no, keep listening. And then they found out it was a boy. And then once they found out it was a boy, no one said anything about Sebastian being Rachel's brother. Because we find out that because she said his name, she was like, oh, my son Sebastian will be the prophecy. You'll all see. Then he was like, why did that woman say my name? And I'm like, because she's your mama. So come to find it. So this is a nice, interesting twist. So Sebastian, who we all know is eventually going to become Brother Blood. Brother Blood is the brother of Rachel of Raven. It's because they both got the same daddy. And when they both did that, That's when Dick was just like, look, get all these tapes together, pack everything up, we out this bitch. And then when they were about to leave, Mother Mayhem ended up calling upon the spirits of the devil, of the devil, the hell's gates. Like, she ended up bringing in zombies. She brought in a bunch of zombies to go in and kill the Titans. While they were fighting the Titan, while the zombies and everybody was fighting, Jinx finally made herself useful, and she did some magic thing that made everybody stop in their tracks. When she made everybody stop in their tracks, the Titans dipped, and when the Titans went upstairs to go leave the asylum, they were met at the front gate by a zombie Deathstroke, and that was cool. Like, zombie Slade. And the funny thing is, because we were talking about magical mumbo jumbo, that might be a way for them to bring Slade back, because as we remember from the Teen Titans cartoon, Slade did die, but Slade was brought back to life when Trigon brought all the zombies and the demons to Earth. So Slade could come back. Like, there's actually a chance that he could possibly make a comeback. And if he does, like, I'll be okay with that, because we still don't know what happened to Jericho and Jericho and Rose. Rose and Jericho have been gone for a hot one. Like, they ain't been around since season 2. So I'd like to see what's going on with that. And did Jericho ever get a new body? Because if you're going to tell me Jericho's still running around in his sister's body, that's actually pretty weird. But anyway, so they're fighting zombie Deathstroke, and then in order to get it, then we find out that Mother Mayhem, because she controls, like, the demons, she controls, like, the zombies or whatever, she was controlling zombie Deathstroke. And then they ended up getting away from zombie Deathstroke because Jinx apparently now has the power to transform herself into other people. She can shapeshift. She shapeshifted into Sebastian because zombie Deathstroke was shooting at the Titans, but every time Sebastian was in the way, he stopped because Mother Mayhem was controlling him and she wasn't going to kill her own son. So Jinx ended up, like, shapeshifting into Sebastian, and then when Slade took Sebastian and put him in the car, she transformed herself back to normal. She, she killed Slade again. Well, she chopped the off again so he couldn't follow her, and then the Titans jumped in the van and dipped to Star Labs, and Mother Mayhem got pissed. But before she did that, she used like a special magic knife and she stabbed Connor with it. Because again, the supers, whether Superman, Supergirl, Superboy, even the damn dog, they're all vulnerable to magic. So the knife had to have been magic, because that's the only way you would have been able to penetrate Connor's skin. Because the whole damn episode, the boy was taking bullet shots and hits and blows to the head. So it had to have been a magic knife that penetrated his skin. And then, like, he started bleeding. They got him back on the bus. Everybody got back on the bus. And like I said, they dipped and they went to Star Labs. While we're in Star Labs now, Rachel decided, they put Sebastian in like a special room. And then Rachel decided to stay in the room with him because she was like, I'd like to get to know my brother. And then, and then after that, the Titans are trying to figure out what the next steps are. And then, Beast Boy had said to Connor, he was like, yo, bro, you good? And he was just like, yeah, I'll be fine. Of course, he was lying. And then he went in the bathroom and threw up a snake, because now Mother Mayhem has her power in Connor's body. She's controlling Connor now. And now that Sebastian is in Star Labs, securely tightened or fastened or whatever, she's going to control Connor and use Connor to bust Brother Blood, Sebastian Blood out of Star Labs. And that's going to be pretty dope, because Superboy's about to turn on the Titans. And that's how the episode ended. And thank you for tuning in. So this was it was a quick one. It was nice to get that season 1 callback, like the whole thing with with the Asylum. It's nice to see Trigon being spoken about again, because even in season 1 of Titans, the way that Trigon was handled, it wasn't the best, but it wasn't that bad. I mean, it's one of those things where I like to say they did the best job with the budget and the resources they had available. But but that was season 1. The show's popular now, so if Trigon does come back in this season at some point, maybe it'll be bigger and it'll be better, because let's say it's season 4 now, so hopefully the budget's bigger and then we can get something cooler than what we got the first time. And if they do that, then that means they came back to Trigon on purpose just so they can, I guess, get a do-over for season 1. And so Rachel can eventually say the words Azriath, Metreon, Zinthos, and Superboy can meet his older brother / daddy. So share your questions, comments, and or concerns down below. What do you think about this particular episode of Titans? Where do you think things go from here? Was it cool to see zombies, Deathstroke, Slade back in the mix? And we will continue to talk about it. Check me out on Twitter and or Instagram, always on YouTube, where you can leave your questions, comments, and or concerns, because I got Stargirl on the channel, who is now on a break due to Thanksgiving. I got my Black Panther review on the channel as well, Wakanda Forever, and we're doing a new show on my channel now, Warrior Nun Season 2, because I missed out on Season 1. Check that out when that goes live as well. Thank you for tuning in, everybody. Enjoy your Thanksgiving, and because Titans, Episode 5 of Titans actually debuts on Thanksgiving. Happy old turkey, look out for zombies, and until then, we're out this